This morning on Weigh In, he's a marvel. El Vencedor made it back-to-back Group 1 wins, the Otaki Māori Weight for Age Classic. The girls were on fire in the Avondale Cup. Blue Sky at Night gave Tayla Mitchell and Shelley Hale a fairy tale result. The 3-year-olds strutted their stuff ahead of Champions Day. Doctor of Love shook up the Derby market and Sethito asserted NZB Kiwi authority. We know Otaki was abandoned, but we've chat to Darin Balcombe to unpack the issues of tracks across the country. And finally, across the ditch, the Kiwis did us proud in the Futurity and Oakley Plate, Mr Brightside and Jimmy Star. Hello and a very warm welcome to Weigh In. Great to have your company. As you can see, Guy Havelt is not with us this week, enjoying some well-deserved time off. We've got some good replacements in Jane Ivel, Bruce Sherwin. Say a very good morning to you. A great weekend of racing. We've got some issues to address in terms of Otaki, but also some really important things to celebrate.
Oh, there were so many positives across the weekend in terms of racing. There was a wonderful meeting held at Ellerslie, and I think it was a real preview into what we're going to see in a couple of weeks' time come the championship. And of course, or Champions Day, I should say, at Ellerslie, and of course, across the ditch, Bruce, fantastic results for New Zealand breds, not just in Victoria, but in New South Wales as well.
Absolutely, it was very much the tone of the day, wasn't it? With some fantastic results across the board. I thought that Ellerslie meeting went off terrific, and it was a good meeting in its own right, in spite of it being 2 weeks away from our Champions Day. And as you say, the Kiwi breds were on fire in Australia.
Yeah, they most definitely were. Let's start right at the top in terms of our local racing and relive the Otaki Māori Weight for Age Classic from Ellerslie.
This horse is airborne at the moment. He is in career best form, and those 2 victories are certainly stunning victories. He's going to be hard to peg back today again.
El Vencedor, the favourite at 2.30, Orchestral at 3.10. Now we're set. Let's bring it on. Gates open, they're off. Kali Alfarasha was first away from El Vencedor. Belclair has designs on the lead from her inside gate. Then followed by Mary Shannon, Multime, 2 lengths away, Conasana. Homeward bound in the Group 1 and Belclair got away by 2. Kali Alfarasha, Multime. El Vencedor's out into the clear. 2 lengths away then, Orchestral and Conasana. It's El Vencedor ranging up to Belclair, who's got a lot to offer on the inside. Kali Alfarasha in behind them. EV hit the lead at the 150. El Vencedor, he's got another Group 1 at Ellerslie, and he's bolted in. But once he let down, he's done that on numerous occasions here at Ellerslie, and that was another sight to behold. Well done, Stephen Marsh and the team.
Oh, he's flying. He really is flying at the moment, El Vencedor, and it doesn't matter what distance it is. If it's 2,000 metres, 1,500 metres, or today at 1,600 metres. He is in career best form at the moment. And Billy Pinn, he loved it on the line.
Oh, like all of us, getting better with age, isn't he? And very happy for Wiremu. You know, he's been helping us a lot in the stables, so really, really happy for him. It meant a lot to him on the line, and it meant a lot to us too. Get the passport ready to go and on Hong Kong, but yeah, definitely want to get him to the Bone Crusher in tip-top order, and we'll get him there that way.
Yeah, it means a lot. I've been battling a bit the last 3 weeks, just not having much luck, and I'm just very grateful to Stephen, Dills, Mr. Friedman and Mr. Price for having me on this horse. Anyone could have won on him today. He's just a really good horse and made me look good. But yeah, it means the world, and I'm very happy.
It was a big win, wasn't it? And a really well-deserved victory by El Vencedor, who's just been a sensation of late. We've got a pretty unique situation here where we're going to get you to Wiremu Pinn and Tayla Mitchell, who are standing by to chat through all things El Vencedor and, of course, Blue Sky at Night. A very good morning to both of you. Wiremu, we'll start with you because that looked like it felt pretty good on the line.
Yeah, morning, Emily. Thanks for having us on. Yeah, yesterday was very special. He's just such a good horse. Like I said on my interview, anyone could have won on him yesterday. He's just flying at the moment. Stephen's done a fantastic job with him. He's really peaking. He's going to be very hard to beat in the Bone Crusher. And yeah, I was very grateful that him and the connections put me on the horse. You know, he would have had 10 jockeys to put their hand up to ride him, and they chose me. So no, it was very special, and yeah, a day I won't forget.
Well done, Wiremu. Terrific result. Your first ride on the horse. Just take us through the preparation for a Group 1 ride when you haven't ridden a horse previously, and also when the map seemed to change coming out of the barriers. We all mapped them outside the leader on pace. Just what went through your mind in those early stages?
Yeah, I don't think you've done your form there, Bruce. I've ridden him about 4 times, but I used to ride him early days, and I won a trial on him by about 10 lengths at Waipa one day, actually, and a couple other races. But yeah, like you said, it didn't really go to plan. The form I did, I had Sprat kicking up to hold the fence, drawn 1, Bell clear to lead, and we'll just sit outside her. But it all kind of unfolded awkwardly, and I had to go to plan B. He jumped, I gave him a little niggle, I tried to hold my position, and he didn't really have much early speed yesterday, but he was in a great rhythm, breathing well, and I knew I was following the right horse. Kelly Alfarasha dragged me into the race beautifully, and once I peeled off her back and he's seen daylight, he's just let rip and put them away very easily.
Executed perfectly, Wiremu. When you look back, I guess, in your career, it's always good to get a Group 1 win at Ellerslie. That was your first, although you've picked up a few at other tracks previously. Just interested to go back and talk to you about the comments that you made post-race about the fact that you had been battling for the last few weeks. It certainly hasn't been an easy season for you, a lot of suspensions early in the season. Just what has the last couple of months been like? And I know you've been doing a lot of work for Stephen, so how's that relationship coming along?
Yeah, really good. He supported me ever since I started at Allen's as a young fella, all the way through to now. He's always backed me, and yeah, I've just I'm not sure. I feel I've been riding the horses very good for the first half of the race in the last 2 to 3 weeks, and I've just been struggling with not being able to get runs, or if I am getting runs, I'm getting knocked over, and I'm just haven't seemed to be getting the results. So it's been a little bit frustrating. So yesterday was a big relief, and yeah, hopefully onwards and upwards now. We all go through bad runs in racing, as you know, and hopefully my bad run is done now and I'm on the up.
As a rider, what is it that you do when you're going through a run like that to try and rectify it, to try and bring yourself out of a bit of a rut?
Oh, it is frustrating, but you know, I've got a lot of good people around me, and most importantly, I think I want to help myself, which is good. And yeah, I just can't thank everyone enough. The people that support me, my manager Chris McNabb, he does a fantastic job with my rides, and not only is he my manager, but he's a great mentor. I can ring him anytime and we can talk about anything, and he's pretty quick to pull me into line when I'm getting out of control. So he's fantastic to have around.
Wiremu, talk to me about El Vencedor, because he has just been a marvel this preparation. Tell me about his personality and how he comes across to you as a jockey.
Oh, he's a real dude. Back in the early days when I used to ride him, he was very naughty, actually. I think I got suspended on him every single time I rode him. He would just cause chaos every time, but he's really mellowed out in his older age, and as you can see, he's racing in tip-top notch. Yesterday, he just was a true gentleman. He dropped his head, relaxed as soon as I found a bum, and was just real push button. He's such an exciting horse, and I wish them all the best in Hong Kong. Romantic Warrior looks a real hard horse to run down, but I just hope the horse runs well and they have a good trip away.
And Wiremu, where does he now sit in terms of the best horses you've ridden?
Yeah, he's up there. It's kind of hard to explain. He's not really a fast horse, but he just has a massive motor. Like, he seems to get to a speed and just build from there. He doesn't really quicken. He's not sharp. Like, he doesn't really have a good turn of foot, but he just builds and builds and builds, and that momentum just carries on, and he seems to be able to sustain that gallop for a very long time. I think after the line yesterday, he just got quicker and quicker. So after the line yesterday was his best work. So, yeah, the Bone Crusher, I think, yeah, he'd be very, very hard to beat.
It certainly looks that way. There was another big win on the programme, and Tayla, you provided that in the form of the Avondale Cup. Talk us through the race and how things unfolded. I know you said post-race that jumping out of the barrier as well was crucial to the result.
Yeah, she has been jumping a little bit stubborn out the gates, and it was good for her to jump out the gates. She gives me confidence as soon as she gets those gates right that I can sit midfield and she doesn't have to do so much work from the back. And when you peel her out, she does have a really good turn of foot when she lets down.
And Tayla, you coming back from Australia, it's been quite an ordeal to get back and get up to winning races like this. Must be tremendously satisfying. And also with Shelley Hale, who does a tremendous job with her small team, and you have a great association with her.
Yeah, no, definitely. Shelley puts a lot of trust in me, and all I have to do is show up in the morning and ride a couple of horses, and she really supports me and gives me good feedback, and she's just the easiest person to ride for, and I think that's why it gives me so much confidence and to be able to ride good races for her.
The million-dollar question, I guess, Tayla, now moving forward to an Auckland Cup, how's she going to handle the 2 miles?
I don't think it will worry her. She's a really relaxed horse in the race. She is the easiest horse to ride, and I think if it all pans out for her, and I think she could go a really good race.
First of all, Tayla, congratulations on the achievement yesterday. Not only did you pick up the Avondale Cup, but you picked up your 100th win of your career too, so a pretty special day for you. You've got an exceptional record on this mare in terms of your strike rate. What is it about her and you that make you guys click?
Oh, I don't know. She's the easiest mare to ride ever. She goes around, Shelley tells me my instructions in the morning and it's like she's listening. She just does it herself. I don't even have to do my beeper or anything like that. She hates the beeper actually. And no, she's just so easy, but it's just the gait part that really doesn't help her. But when she gets it right, no, she's really good.
And I guess the question on everybody's lips, you've won 2 of the big races yesterday. How'd you celebrate?
Oh no, we had a quiet night last night. I've got races soon. Maybe we'll go out for dinner someday during the week and have a couple of wines and a steak and something.
The Group 1 winner shouts.
Yes, no. You can
You won 2 races, I won 1.
That's a good point. What's the dynamic like between the two of you? Because obviously you're both doing the same job. There's good days, there's bad days. Yesterday was an exceptional day, but what's that dynamic like? Are you able to sort of bounce off each other and support each other?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's we both understand what it's like to have a bad day, so we can put each other's we can see each other's in each other's boots. So it's it's very understanding, and we just don't nudge each other and poke each other on the bad days.
Well, that dynamic's obviously working pretty well with the success yesterday. Well done to both of you. Awesome to chat this morning, and good luck with everything heading forward.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Tayla Mitchell and Wiremu Pinn chatting post-victory yesterday in the Avondale Cup and, of course, the Group 1 Otaki Māori Weight for Age. Let's go back to the Group 1 and just dissect things a little bit further because, yes, El Vencedor was exceptional, but there were some other runs in behind that we want to highlight. He just keeps on winning, though.
I think a real key point out of the race, Bruce, is the fact that the ride of Wiremu Pinn really was exceptional in terms of the fact that the race unfolded a little bit differently to his recent runs. He understood what was going on in front of him. He knew the horses in front of him. He made mention of where the horses were going to be, horses like Kaliel Farasha, horses like Belclair, and he was happy just to get the horse in its own rhythm. He tracked the right horse into the race, and the horse showed a really clean pair of heels.
Yeah, sweet ride, wasn't it? The revelation of the horse, though, this is the same horse. If this scenario unfolded as a younger horse, he would have thrown the towel and not been genuine to the line. Here he is, he settles beautifully. Gee, he travelled on the corner. He travelled like a truly Group 1 horse that he is, and then he puts them away and puts a margin on a really good field. Orchestral got away nicely. She's tracking him 6th on the fence, 3 back on the fence, just behind of El Vencedor. I think she is a really good mark out of the race. She went through a flat patch as El Vencedor quickened, but her best work is that last 100 metres and through the line. So bring on the rematch in the Bone Crusher in a couple of weeks' time. Conasana tracks El Vencedor at virtually every stride. They'd be happy with her, and there will be no Orchestral, you would think, going to a Breeders' Stakes in 2 weeks' time. So Conasana gets her chance to win a Group 1. So that Australian mare's been racing well for Chris Waller, and good to see these Australian horses fronting up over here and adding such a dynamic to the day.
Yeah, look, I agree with you, particularly around Orchestral. I thought it was a good run from her. Craig was really positive out of the barrier with her, wasn't he? They actually sort of rode her up to hold her position in running, and she actually seemed to travel really nicely in transit. I think when that speed went on, though, she just took a little bit of time to build through her gears, but she was doing her best work on the line. So a good run from her. I thought Belclair did a pretty honest job at holding on for 4th, considering that she'd sort of done the work out in front. She's probably likely to go to the Fillies and Mares Mile now
she's won
too.
it twice.
I think. You know, she's going to be hard to beat in a race like that as well. But a couple of really nice runs. I thought the disappointments in the race, Mary Shan, who sort of sat upside the leader, she was the first horse beaten, went through the field pretty quickly. Stewart's report suggests that the vets didn't find any abnormalities with her on race. They'll be interesting to see if something pops up over the next few days, because it was quite out of character for her.
All right, let's hear from the beaten jocks post the Otaki Māori Weight for Age.
Yeah, listen, really good run. Got the perfect position and kind of thought I got first run on the winner. But listen, the winner's a very good horse, and it's hard to beat horses in form, but she hit the line really good and I was very pleased.
Yeah, great run. She put herself in a bit of a handy spot today, travelled nice throughout. Just took a while to sort of really wind up, but the last 100 metres was the best part of the race. She was really strong through the line.
Yeah, look, we had a good run in transit, followed the winner, had the second favourite inside us. I had a lap full of horse on straightening, thought, you know, I'm right in it with a chance, and she probably just peaked on her run a little bit, a long time between runs. She does benefit with a little bit of rain around as well, so look, it should top her off very good for 2 weeks, and she'll come on from the run immensely.
Yeah, nice run. Jumped this time, sort of seemed to want to be in the amongst the race, but better than last start. And so no, it was an honest race. Thought we might be able to sneak away with it, but they just got us the last bit.
Yeah, I thought she handled herself really well. You know, she's not up to this level of horse, obviously, but look, she did everything right. She didn't cover any extra ground. Her manners were very good, and she hit the line quite nicely. So in this sort of field, great effort.
Let's see what that information has done to the Bone Crusher New Zealand Stakes in a couple of weeks' time. And as you can see, El Vencedor has become a big shortener from the 8s into 2s. You've got Orchestral 6s to 3s, 10s to 6s for Le Creek. It's a really good rematch, and I'm intrigued at Orchestral at the 2000 now with the way she worked home yesterday.
Yeah, and I think probably had to be trained slightly differently to be kept fresh enough to run the mile twice this preparation before stepping up to 2,000 metres, but we know that she's a better mare once she gets out in trip. I think, look, what it is doing is building up to be a fantastic race on what is going to be an outstanding day of racing here in New Zealand, and you've only got to look at the quality of horses going round in the Bone Crusher to see that.
Yeah, one of 5 great races on the day. The match-up, Orchestral getting back to 2,000 metres and nearing her peak. El Vencedor, Airborne. That is just a classic match-up, isn't it?
Let's also go back and have a quick look at the Avondale Cup. Obviously, we know it was won by Blue Sky at Night, but post the chat with Tayla Mitchell this morning. But in terms of the Auckland Cup, it's a really crucial race, and the runs in behind Blue Sky at Night are probably the ones we want to focus on.
And I think there are a couple of really good runs in behind Blue Sky at Night. Ultimately, the race panned out perfectly for Tayla Mitchell, and the fact that the mare jumped out of the gates really cleanly. She was able to get into a really nice position midfield. The horse switched off and obviously was able to show a really good turn of foot. A little bit stop-start in terms of the way the race was run. They were sort of strung out early, came together. So tempo was a little bit up and down throughout the race, but there were a couple of nice runs in behind. And horses that I think that you can put a little bit of a mark on heading into an Auckland Cup. Your thoughts on Blue Sky at Night in terms of the 3,200 metres? I know that Connections are pretty confident she's going to run it out.
Oh, it's extraordinary, isn't it? Sham Express has got the highest rated sprinter in the world in kayaking rising, and here's one of the favourites for a 2-mile race. Who would have thought a Sham Express would be a force to be reckoned with at 1.5 miles and stepping to 2 miles. Perfect ride, Tayla Mitchell, got over nicely, really positive out of the gates, won off the fence after a couple of 100 metres and stalking the short price favourite About Time. About Time has run well, looks like she shapes well for a 2-mile assignment as well. Blue Sky at Night gets a tick. Eye catchers in the race, a number. Son of Sun was wiped out of the race at the 600 metres. He is terrific. And it's a little rough. He lost cause is probably borderline to get into the race, but it's going really well. It didn't have much luck, didn't have the clearest of runs in the straight. A mere by Sway Nessel, would you believe? So a couple of sprinting stallions perhaps to the fore.
I think it's interesting the horses you've pointed out of the race, because I thought Interpretation didn't have a lot of luck in the home straight as well. Midnight Blue was outstanding coming up on the rail, and Sailor Jack I think also really good. So what it does do is bode well for an Auckland Cup, and I think quite an even Auckland Cup too.
Yep, for sure.
Certainly a few we want a black book out of the Avondale Cup replay you're going to be watching a few times. Let's hear from the beaten jockeys in behind our winner, Blue Sky at Night.
Yeah, I thought a great effort. She had no excuse really, had a great run round, got the splits when I needed them, top of the straight. She moved up like she's going to win it easy. The others just run me down, so a gallant effort.
Yeah, really tough run. Really enjoyed sort of lobbing along in front, got into a nice rhythm, kicked on the corner, really thought we were going to be into it. Unfortunately just had a couple get over the top of us late.
He jumped a little bit slow, but that seems to be his natural pattern. He tracked up nice. Just had a runner hook back to the fence at the 500, which just cost us a bit of a run, but he's hit the line really strong. I know he doesn't hold it on for the Auckland Cup, but they should consider.
I was very happy with the performance of Con Hunter today. He hasn't had a run in almost 7 weeks, and he led up like he was going to win the race by the 200, but he's probably lacking that little bit of fitness. I look very much forward to riding this horse in the future with that run under the belt.
Look, he ran super. Look, we had a beautiful run until turning in. Kind of I followed the favourite through and tried to come off his back turning in, but unfortunately the winners come around us and kind of forced us to go back in again, and we just kind of ran out of room a little bit then and cost him his momentum. I think he was a little bit of an unlucky loser, and look, I think the 2 miles in a couple of weeks really suit him.
Perfect segue to the Auckland Cup market, and as you can see, a number of single-figure chances, and it's always a tricky race to assess in terms of numbers, but make sure you head to tab.co.nz to get involved in that Auckland Cup market. We're going to get you off to a break here on Weigh In this morning. On the back of that, it's all about the 3-year-olds as we unpack the Uncle Remus and, of course, the Avondale Guineas.
The Doctor of Love, keen to get your thoughts on him, because I know you've got him in amongst your numbers, the Australian visitor.
Yeah, I think you've definitely got to show respect for the Trent Busden and obviously Nat Young as well. That you've seen them travel horses around New Zealand to Australia, and they always run good races, especially these 3-year-olds. Look, he's a lovely big horse, so you think, and barrier 3, hopefully he can take up a decent sort of positive behind the leaders.
Gates open, they're off. Walking out Skipper's Canyon was slow. Now one of the first away over on near the inside is Kiwi Skyhawk. Harkonnen goes forward as well, and from the deep, Bourbon Proof goes up towards the leaders. With it is Amazing Fluke as a jockey for positions going up the rise, leaving the straight. Ride for the Ashes is next from the Ashes, and then followed through on the inside by Mustang Morgan. With it is Golden Century, then followed round by the Doctor of Love. Just caught out 3 wide, now 4 wide around that bend, goes forward as a consequence. Gee, if Willie's going to do it, he'll have to be far lap to win on the corner as they sprint for home in the Eagle Technology Avondale Guineas. Amazing Fluke, Bourbon Proof, 2 lengths away, Ride from the Ashes. Harkonnen over on the inside, further back in the field. Then we've got the Doctor of Love starting to warm up, so is Oceana Dream. It's Bourbon Proof fighting back on the inside. Harkonnen still there, Amazing Fluke, and here comes the Doctor of Love, ranged up on the outside, and the Doctor of Love wins the Avondale Guineas. The Doctor of Love, Trent Busden and Natalie Young. They've set this horse for the race, this race, and particularly the next, the Trackside New Zealand Derby. He comes right into calculations now.
$16 for the Derby. He will rocket right up the leaderboard now with that performance here today.
Yeah, we've seen Trent and Ellerslie do this in the past. Great training effort. They've got them here on the day, and he's aided by a really good ride by Daniel Moore as well, where he's just sort of stalked the speed.
He showed me that he could race closer, which was handy. Began really well. He really didn't go right-handed at all. You know, even in the straight, around every bend, he was all over the shop, and he took a bit of riding, so he'll benefit from that experience. But I think the most pleasing part is he was able to take up a tactically better position in running.
Doctor of Love certainly shook up the Derby market yesterday. It was an intriguing running of the race. I'm keen to get your guys' assessment as to what unfolded, because our very short price Derby favourite didn't run up to expectation. There was a lot of moving parts and plenty to assess when it comes to the Avondale Guineas.
I'm going to talk about the positives, and then I'm going to move on to my friend Bruce to talk about the running of the race. Look, really well-bred son of So You Think. Dam's a half-sister to Dallasan, so it ticks the boxes in terms of breeding this horse, the Doctor of Love. Trent and Natalie know how to put the polish on classic winners. We know the success that they've had in the past. He found a position in running, which he hasn't been able to do in Australia. And as we heard from Daniel Moore, he's going to benefit from having seen the circuit at Ellerslie. So there may be some improvement in him going forward. But I genuinely think the way the race was set up, he was Johnny on the spot. He had the best run in transit. He was able to peel off their heels, and he was there to strike when he needed to in the home straight. And when I talk about the way the race unfolded, Bruce, we're talking about the farcical pace of the 2100 metres of the Avondale Guineas. You've only got to look at the rating 65 race over 2100 metres that was run on the same day. This race was 4 seconds slower than the rating 65 gallopers.
7 seconds slower than last year's Avondale Guineas. It was, well, all due respect to those that have won the race and finished top 4, top 5, it's a joke of a race in terms of a form guide. The ride on the $1.45 favourite, well, I understand riding to instructions, but ultimately Massa has to be accountable for his actions out there, and that horse had no chance. It was taken back in a very slowly run race. He raced very keenly. His race was in trouble at halfway, given how he was over-racing through the slow tempo, so it was going to be hard to get home. What concerns me the most is from the 800, he had ample opportunity to improve. And when Interplanetary went around the field at that point, he didn't even grab that horse's tail. He's done nothing till the home turn and then worked home in the straight. It was impossible to win from where he was on the home turn. There wasn't a lot of initiative shown. So that was the big question mark out of the race. He's still maybe just a pass mark. I still would have liked to have seen a bit more in the straight. Will he do it? It sets him up nicely. He's had a quiet run leading into the Derby, but in terms of a guide for the New Zealand Derby, I'm really not sure where this race stands.
I'm happy to put a line through his run, given the way that the race panned out. He did have the second fastest closing sectionals of the race in behind Oceania Dream, who I think was the eye catcher in the run when you're looking forward to a Derby. But I agree with you, Bruce. I understand why they rode the horse quietly over ground for the first time, looking at a Derby over 2,400 metres. So yes, they wanted to get some cover, they wanted to go back. The horse was over racing, he did nothing. Okay, that's fine. But my problem is the same one you have. When Interplanetary took off at the 800 metres, that was his cue to get on the back of the horse and get going and try and put the horse in the race, and that didn't happen. So I just think we have to put a line through it, and what we've seen from him previously suggests that he's a quality horse. But what we don't get now is he's so brilliant over sort of the mile and those sort of distances. Is he a genuine stayer? He's always looked like one, but that race did not tell us anything because it was a sit and sprint.
The other thing we take out of the race, really slowly run, will it be any different for a Derby?
I was just going to say that. What changes? Big field, how many hard luck, you know, what will be different?
Barrier draws become vitally important in the Derby, I think, this year.
Yep. All right, couple of weeks until the New Zealand Derby. Let's hear from the beaten jockeys in behind our winner.
Yep, brilliant. Tracking the right way towards the Derby. He always looked like the 2-4's going to be his go, and he's tracking the right way.
We're absolutely delighted. He's seen the chip out very well. He relaxed beautifully for me. Gave me a very good feel up the straight. Yeah, so sort of can't say too much really. Just very pleased with him.
Yeah, solid effort. We were able to be a lot handier today. He relaxed beautifully over the trip. Took a run on the fence at the top of the straight, and he probably a little bit timid with the shades on to go through it. When it fully opened about the 100, he started getting into his work. So he's going to eat up 2400 really well, and he's a live Derby hope.
Really good run. Settled really nicely. Yeah, huge run. I think if we can run the first 5 in Derby, we'll be happy.
Obviously, the pace wasn't ideal, but I didn't want to use him from the 800 hill, and nobody was on the 3 wide position, so for me to follow. And when he got to 600 there, he just quickened, and he quickened well, but just was from the no hope spot. But yeah, he feel good, and hopefully he'll be back on 2 weeks' time.
Got a lovely run. Just happy with where I was. Just the tempo of the race was really slow. Just like from the 600 onwards, I've put the hammer down. She was left flat, like the whole back half of the field was left flat to the boards. She's probably run on okay in hindsight, but if it was a bit more genuine tempo, I think she would have finished a lot closer.
So that was the beaten jockeys post the Avondale Guineas. There was a huge change in that New Zealand Derby market. Now we have joint favourites. Will he do it? And the Doctor of Love, 41s into 4s. Oceania Dream, 16s to 5s. Tuxedo, 18s to 5s. Big movement.
Look, I just think considering the way that race was run, that's a bit of an overreaction, bringing him into $4 in the market. I wouldn't be taking $4 from him. I think he's going to drift on race day for sure.
The drift on Will He Do It's gone $2 to $4. Yeah. I think that's an overreaction as well.
Let's focus in on the other 3-year-old race on the day, and it was of course the Uncle Remus with a real guide towards the NZB Kiwi. Sethito is our winner. Dealt With was brave in front, finishing in 2nd spot. Certainly a nice entree to the main in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, look, I thought it was a nice race. There was a couple of horses that obviously coming off the back of some decent breaks in between races, and Sethito is certainly one of those. What I like about this horse is that she puts herself in a race, and she is able to run on speed, very familiar with Ellerslie, has a terrific record round Ellerslie, and I think will only improve out of the run yesterday. Had the run of the race and quickened nicely. Dealt With was very good, very brave, sitting up but on speed, considering where you see the finishing position of Vega Queen. But there were some good runs, weren't there? I thought Checkmate had a huge flag on him.
Very much game on for the NZB Kiwi, isn't it? Shaping as such a good race. Many different form lines coming into this. This was a bit more slowly run than I expected. I thought Vegas Queen would add a bit more tempo to the race, but some smart rides from George Rook and Sam Spratt. They let Vegas Queen go, and the race set up on pace. Sethito took the sit, relaxed nicely, quickened up, got the prize. Checkmate is excellent the way the race has set up. The full brother to Banker's Choice, so there's Group 1 pedigree behind him. The race didn't really set up as I expected. There wasn't as much tempo, so he's been excellent from the back. Hankey Alpha, which got the ATR slot announced just prior to the race, it's run really well, quickened up nicely, just the way the race set up. It was hard for it, but there's not a lot over those top 5 going forward, so it makes for an intriguing race in 2 weeks' time. Particularly
when you look at the other 3-year-old race of the day, which I think we're going to move on to, and Penman, his time was a little bit slicker too than what we saw in... Yeah.
We can unpack that shortly. We're going to go beaten jockeys from the Uncle Remus before we move on to Penman.
Dealt With, very pleased with him again. He's run a massive race. He's only just been beaten. Today we found out he's able to follow one, so it gives us a bit more options, and he's still got more to come.
Yep, brilliant. Slow speed, tracked into it nice, and was solid late. So up and trip next time, he's tracking the right way as well.
Yeah, not a good run. So we had a bad draw, and we didn't go very quick. But yeah, I wouldn't swap them in 2 weeks' time. I think proper good tempo and a nice draw, we'd be bang there.
She jumped well today. Got in a handier position than usual. But she didn't over race at all, so which is a good point. And didn't really get a clear until last 50 or so, but she hit the line well. So yeah, good. Thank you.
So beaten jockeys post the running of the Uncle Remus Stakes. The other 3-year-old event on the card was taken out by Penman. This was a really eye-catching run. Had to muscle his way out, but when it did, it was certainly home with a good turn of foot.
Muscle his way out, Emily's the right way to put it. Matt Cartwright, 7 days suspension for extricating Penman into the clear. But it was a really nice run in terms of the terrific turn of foot we actually saw from him once he got through that gap and accelerated to the line.
There's at least a length compensation, so his win margin flatters the opposition. Really good figures out of his Tauranga win the time before in that small field 3-year-old handicap. He's doing it against the older horses. They only get a half a kilo under the handicap conditions when the weight for age at this time of year is 3.5 kilos. So it's a really good performance. Good figures again out of this race. He is a live player in a couple of weeks' time.
The thing I like about him too is that he's a horse on the up. He keeps on stepping up and stepping up, where some of these horses have reached their sort of plateau as such. He's a little bit untapped, isn't he?
I think the race as a whole is just incredibly exciting when you look at the different form lines that we're going to see come into the race, even Evaporate, who we'll talk about a little bit later. I mean, he's been beaten a very short margin by some proper weight for age gallopers yesterday. He was outstanding yesterday.
And a Group 1 against Mr. Brightside and company and runs fourth, so no surprise to see him shorten. But again, I think there's some value there to be found.
I loved the addition of Pivotal 10 after our lobbying last week on weigh-in, and obviously some other nice news yesterday with Hanky Alpha securing a slot. So that leaves 2 slots unfilled, Aussie Kerr and Cambridge Stud, I understand.
I believe there's an announcement coming shortly around Cambridge Stud. And yeah, the Aussie Kerr one's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? After he's running out of time, and Sergeant Major, as you mentioned, was good yesterday.
Well, he put his hand up, I thought, Sergeant Major yesterday. Kicked off his campaign over 1,200 metres, and he was one of the best finishers of the race. And I don't think there's any doubt that a trainer like Kieran Marr can have him ready to go 1,500 metres second up. So he looks the likely target for Aussie Kerr. It'll be interesting to see what we hear from that camp in the coming days.
Oh, it's exciting, isn't it? Lots to look forward to over the next couple of weeks. We're going to get you to a break. On the back of that, we tackle the industry issues, the abandonment of Otaki.
We have been abandoned here today after a fall in the first on the program. Now, I have been cleared by stewards to show you this vision because the riders do want it to be seen. Christelle is okay, Bailey Rogerson is okay, but here it is, and you can see the horse second last slip behind, slip in front, free of interference and come down. Now, I was in the room with the jockeys, and Jonathan Riddell did ask the question of other riders, did anyone else move in the race? Their answer was no, but Hunty, it's plain to see.
Yeah, it's pretty clear-cut, Sweens, that there was no horse surrounding the individual when it was second last and the slip occurred.
But the fact is that it was off here today and we lost 3 races yesterday, so things just have to change. Things just have to change because it's not just a turnover issue, it's horses trying to get a run here to go other places, and it's just a recurring theme at the moment.
After a track inspection with senior riders and the track manager, significant amount of slips have been cited, and obviously the safe option is to go home.
Yesterday's abandonment certainly had nothing to do with the track. It was a running rail issue that we've had with Wanganui for about the last 3 meetings. And they need to put the running rail back into its true position, so hopefully after yesterday we won't have that problem. And today, I mean, the track rode really false. I mean, I thought my horse in the first race was a huge chance and he wouldn't even let down on it. The horse that fell was clear of interference. It's not like he's just done a little slip, the horse wiped out. So I mean, the next race was going to be a 2-year-old race. You're on green horses, hitting that corner at speed, you know, you can't really keep putting people's lives at risk. I mean, at the end of the day, if we come to work and it's abandoned, we don't get paid. Do they think that we like going home and not getting paid? You know, some of us have got mortgages to pay, just like every other human being. But we're probably the only sport that has an ambulance that chases them.
Really interesting issues raised as a result of the abandonment yesterday. We know what happened in terms of the abandonment and why it happened. We saw that there in the play on. Darin Balcombe joins us from NZTR. Darin, a very good morning to you. We haven't got much time to talk through these issues, so I'm not going to dwell on why it's happened. We know why it's happened. It's lack of funding, it's infrastructure, lack of investment in these tracks for a long time. I guess my first question is, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah, it's a real problem, and especially in the CD at the moment with the two major venues that are currently out, which we are, we have invested heavily into Awapuni. We're hoping to have that back very shortly. We don't want to rush it because, as we've seen, every time we do get back and force these tracks to come back too early, we run into issues. So it's just letting that track be 100% right before we come back. We've got Hastings out currently. We're just working through the plan of what we can do there, but we need to invest into that venue and make sure the track is up to speed. The other tracks around the CD, they are tired because they have had to take a lot of the impact of those tracks being out, which was the same in the north when we had Ellerslie and Te Araha out. But those tracks really did struggle. But we do need to put some money into them. We are looking at what we can do. It won't happen overnight, but that doesn't excuse the fact that there was a major slip yesterday, and a horse went down and jockeys were put at risk, and we've got to make sure that that's not happening as well, and that shouldn't be happening even with the tired infrastructure. Whether we're getting the rail movements right, we need to look at that as well. I know we had senior riders at Wanganui post the issue being raised a couple of meetings ago, and they did realign that rail, but obviously by the sound of it, it's still not where it needs to be. We thought we had fixed that one. So we need to review that as well. We need to look at our RTA structure right across the board, which is our regional track advisor structure, and whether that's still working, because we need to give these track managers some support. They are dealing with tired, aged infrastructure, and they're working as hard as they can. I know Kane's a very good operator at Otaki, and I know he went above and beyond to make sure that track was in a good state yesterday. But you can, looking at it, you can tell there was an issue, and what that issue is. We had an NZSTI there this morning doing the testing to see what if they can find anything that's caused that horse to slip. The track was a bit patchy. Whether the irrigation's right there is another thing we need to make sure that that's operating properly. But we need to stop these. As agreed, there's no winners in any of this, and sending riders around when there's those concerns is a horrible thing. It's not fun for anyone to see a rider on the ground, and it's very scary. And completely agree that we need to get it sorted.
Darin, the most common question I get at the moment with the overuse of some of these tracks in the CD with the two tracks out, is there any appetite to go back to Hastings with the rail in the true position?
Not currently. There is still, we still have concerns with Hastings, and we need to get it sorted for the long term, because, we can't have sending riders out onto tracks that we're not comfortable, and we know there is an issue there. We need to make sure that they are safe. We know that issue can be heavily managed, but it's a very fine line with heavily managing it and getting it wrong. And as we've seen on the Group 1 day there recently, when you get it wrong, it is pretty bad.
I understand that the problems are quite historic in terms of lack of management and lack of money and resources. But I find that at the moment we're an industry that has just been incredibly reactive in terms of something goes wrong, we react to it instead of being proactive. And I guess there's a little bit of an issue around the communication and what's happening in behind the scenes with NZTR in terms of the plans and what's happening at this track. Taking Hawke's Bay as just an example, it's been shut for quite some time now, but the industry hasn't really heard about what's happening to it and what's going to happen to it. Are there plans in place, and will they be made public?
Yeah. There are plans being developed at the moment. They're very close to being able to make public. We didn't want to go public until we know exactly where we're going and what the timeframes are going to be. So they're very close to being put in place with the thing of Hastings. Just leading into all this, we knew Hastings was going to, previously Trentham had been earmarked to go out post Awapuni, but unfortunately Hastings happened, and we needed to move that one forward. To prepare for that, we put irrigation into Hawera and Waverley, to ensure that those tracks could be used more than they had done previously. We also upgraded irrigation, ironically, at Otaki and at Tauranico, which improved those surfaces as well to try and alleviate some of the stress on some of these other tracks. But it needs to be more work as well. So there is a proactivity there to try and get ahead of the game. But obviously we need to do more to get further ahead with these tracks. You know, we weren't expecting Hastings to be out at this stage, which has caused a major backlog.
Darin, unfortunately, we have run out of time here on the show this morning, but thank you for joining us, and that is certainly a conversation that needs to be continued.
No, thank you. We're doing everything we can.
Alrighty, so Darin Balcombe from NZTR post the abandonment of Otaki. Let's move along to our Australian Group 1 replays, and we start at Caulfield with the Futurity, and it was taken out, of course, by Mr. Brightside, the hero of the Australian turf. But love him. We can have a little look at that replay. I Wish I Win also featuring in the top 3.
Oh, look, I think not just hero in Australia, a hero across Australasia. I certainly love cheering him home. He's been the flag bearer of Kiwi Breds in Australia over the last couple of seasons. He's just become a bit of a war horse, and even hearing from the team at Lindsay Park yesterday, he's the best performed horse to come out of Lindsay Park.
Wow.
They're putting him right,
9
Group 1s, they're putting him right alongside horses like Better Loosen Up. So look, he's just a brave, tough, tenacious horse who, as they say, never lets the team down, and that's exactly what we saw from him yesterday. He's been marred by wide barrier draws. He has to sort of do it both ends, and he managed to hold on yesterday, and what was an exciting finish, and there were some nice runs in behind.
How good I Wish I Win first up. His return fantastic. Evaporate we've touched on earlier in terms of an NZB trial, travelling 3 wide the trip, but what a lovely horse he is to follow. Is he 19 wins, nearly 19 millions in stakes, and the public just love him, don't they?
I'd love to see him get a Cox Plate, or just the icing on the cake would be one of those iconic. I know he doesn't need to do it, he's proven that, but for him...
I think that the thing that what we've become to realise with Mr. Brightside now is he's just a genuine miler. I'm not sure the team are going to head towards a Cox Plate again in a campaign, which is a shame, because it's always nice to get one of those sort of big 4 races on the mantelpiece. He was beaten in nose by Romantic Warrior, but I think we'll see him race sort of a mile and below as his career unfolds going forward.
The 2-year-olds obviously featured on the programme there at Caulfield as well, in the form of the Blue Diamond. Devil Knight was the winner, and it was a little bit of Kiwi flavour to the win. Michael D aboard.
Look, when you pay $1.4 million for a son of Extreme Choice, you want to be winning a Blue Diamond, and he was in the right stable to do that, wasn't he, Bruce?
Yes, the owner's having a great run at the moment. Well done to them. They put a lot into the game. Yulong Investments, perfect ride. Michael D summed the race beautifully, on pace outside the leader, and kicked on nicely. Very warm day at Caulfield, and I noted field of play, the Karaka graduate got really sweated up before the start, so maybe a little excuse there. He wasn't at his best, but a heck of a training performance. Made its debut last week, so the 7-day turnaround, and comes away with a Blue Diamond.
Yeah, good result for all involved. And obviously we had the Oakley Plate on that Super Saturday from Caulfield as well, and this was taken out by another Kiwi interest in the form of Jimmy Star with that electric turn of foot.
Beautifully ridden as well, considering where he came from in the field. Wide barrier draw, he took his medicine, he went back. Ethan Brown, again, executed it beautifully, tracked the favourite, and she's bulletproof into the race. And he's run sub 33 for his last 600. So the sectionals are just incredible. He's a brilliant horse fresh. He's got a brilliant record at Caulfield. And he's just one of these horses that Kieran Maher has taken beautifully through the grades, always earmarked as being a horse that's capable at winning at Group 1 level, and he's just been taken through beautifully. Another Will's probably the other one that's in that category that's picked up a Group 1 win this season as well, out of the stable. But I think there's more to come from Jimmy Star. There's no doubt about that.
Yep, certainly is.
Yeah, it was a day when it was inside barriers on pace. He's drawn a wide barrier, come from back, run extraordinary sectionals. Terrific win. And just want to note that the only time he got beaten was on debut when trained by Guy Lowry. Fresh up.
All right, let's get you off to a break here on Weigh In. On the back of that, we take it global. We get you off to Saudi Arabia.
So tonight's the night, the Halberg Awards, and one man is obviously missing from the evening, and that is James McDonald. A couple of weeks ago, I got a text from James asking if I would represent him for the evening. A huge honour, feel very privileged. Well, I know one man who I think might be pretty proud of James McDonald tonight, and I'm going to jump on and have a chat to him. Thanks so much for jumping on, Chris. How proud are you of James to be named a finalist at the Halbergs tonight?
Yeah, very, very proud of James. What he's achieved in sport, racing, and let alone, a person is quite remarkable. He gets the ultimate respect tonight. He's a proud Kiwi and an amazing sportsman, simple as that. He's got a gift as a sportsman, whether it be an All Black, whether it be a Silver Fern. James has got a gift as a sports person on a horse, but I think if he was outside of horse racing, whatever he turned to in the sporting field, he'd be very good at, because he just drives himself.
What do you think it means to the industry to have James as a finalist?
Well, it's great for the industry because James has become a household name, certainly in Australia and I'm sure New Zealand as well. Not just racing, but the sporting scene. And it means a lot for racing to be recognised when you've got a superstar like James McDonald.
Well, you're next, mate. We'll get you a finalist as Coach of the Year, mate.
Thanks very much.
Righto, time to head off. G'day, mate. How are you?
How are you, mate?
Yeah, very well. We're on our way to the big night. I bet you wish you could be here, eh?
Yeah, for sure. We only just got to Saudi last night, and we had a pretty rough night actually. I must have got food poison or some sort of bug or.
Oh, mate. Well, a Sportsman of the Year award might make you feel a little bit better, eh?
Well, let's hope so. Anyway, we'll see how we go.
Is the suit and tie combination, does it suffice?
Yeah, sharp. I was going to say I couldn't have dressed myself any better. Very good. I'll be on the blower if you ring in 3 hours.
Too right, mate. You'll be the first person I call, absolutely. And if you do win, where do you want me to keep the trophy, mate?
Just keep it yours. I'm sure we'll keep it. Or when you fly over to Sydney, we'll go for a lunch or something. Eh?
All right, that sounds bloody good. I'll hold you to that. On behalf of everyone back here, huge congratulations on just being a finalist. It's a massive achievement.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Sweet, we've arrived. Let's head inside and see who we might be able to catch up with.
He's a young man that's absolutely the best ambassador, like a lot of our sports people. He's the best in the world, and he represents himself and his family and New Zealand and the racing industry at the top level.
I think we've got so many sports that get left under the radar, and when you look at what James McDonald's not only done this year but what he's done in the past, fabulous results, and what you would arguably say is a very, very tough sport.
I mean, I didn't know Jimmy that well before he got nominated, but my little brother's a big punter, and he was just like absolutely frothing at the fact that I was going to be, essentially on the same stage as him, and yeah, he was super excited. So I've kind of done a bit of reading, and in terms of the racing industry as well, it's just amazing.
And the winner of the ISPS Honda Sportsman of the Year is Hamish Kerr.
So no good for James McDonald tonight, but still incredibly proud of the fact that he was even a finalist in these awards. I think that says a few things. One, just how good he is, and two, how far racing has come. Incredibly privileged to have been here in his place tonight. We go again next year, hopefully with him as a finalist again, and also Chris Waller as Coach of the Year.
Echo the sentiments of everybody in racing, how proud we are to have James McDonald on that international stage and New Zealand stage celebrated so highly. Bring on next year. Let's focus in quickly on that Saudi Cup. That played this morning, that race was this morning. What a clash between Forever Young and Romantic Warrior. Epic battle.
One for the ages, wasn't it? A $20 million US race. James made his move on the turn. He crossed Forever Young, put dirt in his face, but the horse that was an unlucky loser in the Kentucky Derby grabs him in the closing strides.
Yeah, great vision there coming through, and you could feel the Hong Kong hearts breaking. I don't think Romantic Warrior loses any admirers with that very admirable defeat. Kelly Myers, she was involved in the International Jockeys Challenge. Her best result was a second. The girls did pretty well, actually, in the International Jockeys Challenge. A great result for her, and no doubt a great experience. Very proud to have the Kiwis represented. I did notice James McDonald in that International Jockeys Challenge was listed as an Australian. Not sure about that, but Kelly there finishing in second in the yellow on the grey horse with the black cap. Well done to all of them. We're running out of time. We're going to get to our moments of the week. Jane, we'll start with you.
I think just the Kiwi Brid's success across the Tasman was a highlight for me this week. Mr Brightside, Jimmy Starr picking up the 2 Group 1s at Caulfield. Fantastic to see.
And Bruce, what about for you?
I think we share it, don't we, Em? It's
We do.
Al Vencedor. You want your great horses to produce again and again, and this horse is airborne. Hard not to be impressed by what he's achieving at the moment.
He's a warhorse, isn't he? And he just keeps on racing and keeps on winning. Well done to the big EV and all the connections. What about our Weight Watchers, our black bookers? What are we looking forward to in terms of horses from yesterday? Jane, what have you got?
Mango from the Graham Begg stable. The stable is flying. This is a horse that has been doing a wonderful job so far in her short career to date. Unbeaten round a bend. So I think she's one to follow going through the grades. Geordie Childs, who rode her yesterday, said are going to be better when the shades go on too. And when you've won, I think, 4 of 6 and the blinkers haven't gone on yet, that's a pretty positive sign.
Lollapalooza for me, liked her trial going into this debut race yesterday at Ellerslie. Didn't have the rub of the green, and Al Rocker filly worth following.
And I went with Tomodachi. I think this is a name we're going to be following in group racing heading forward, putting together a lovely overall record and then beautifully handled by the O'Sullivan Scott team. Well, that's it for us here on Weigh In this morning. It's been great to have your company. I've enjoyed my little stint in Guy's chair. No doubt he'll be back next week. It's been great to have brought you Weigh In this morning. We'll see you same time, same place next week.
The doctor of love, ranged up on the outside, and the doctor of love wins the Avondale Guinea.
He's only going to improve from here, so it's a warning sign for sure.
Blue Sky at Night in front from About Time. Blue Sky at Night won it.
She's just a fabulous mare. I just love her. So this just makes it the reason why we do it.
El Vencedor, he's got another Group 1 at Ellerslie, and he's bolted in.
He keeps raising the bar. He's a phenomenal horse. Just love him.
Anyone could have won on him today. He's just a really good horse and made me look good.
Seth Hito's grabbed it short of the line. Seth Hito.
You know, well pleased with those 3 that are heading for the big ones. So yeah, we've just got to hang in there for another 2 weeks.